Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, Ottawa still has 2 RFAs to sign, Shane Pinto and Egor Sokolov, but is something outside of their team's control holding up those negotiations?
And we have another Dev Camp interview for you guys, and this time it's the first player selected by the Ottawa Senators in the 2023 NHL Draft. It's Hoyt Stanley.
As a defenseman wearing number 88, I found that interesting, so we get the answer to that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 843 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Please like and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. We're also free on YouTube, where you can also find clips of the show, great interviews from the past, and a whole lot more. Today is Monday, July 17th, and Pilsy, Locked On Senators Season 4 is in the books. It is officially the off-season mode for us. What does that mean for the great citizens out there?
Well, that means we're going to be going down to 3 episodes a week from 5. I know, we apologize, but doesn't mean that we're going to have, lackluster content. We've got great off-season ideas. As you guys know, we've been doing the organizational value rankings the past 3 years. So we're going to do that again, where we literally rank every single player involved in the Ottawa Senators organization. What was it last year, Ross? 67 players?
I can pull it up.
I think it was in the 60s.
You want to know who do you think was last?
Oh, no. Poor Nikita Zaitsev.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, when you have to give up as much as the Sens did to get rid of them, you kind of expect them to be low in terms of value. And that's how we always do it, right? Is if you're trying to trade these guys, what kind of value would they have? And we're going to have a great debate coming up next week about who should be at the top of the list. Who's number one? We put out a poll between Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk. But yes, Pilsy, I have it up now. 64 players were ranked. The bottom 3. Or how about we do a Mount Rushmore of the bottom? And I think Zaitsev last, Ole Alsing at 63, and Vitaly Abramov at 62. Yakov Novak was 61. Yeah. And then at the other side of it, we had Brady Tkachuk number 1, Tim Stützle number 2, Thomas Chabot number 3, and we don't talk about the guy who's number 4.
No. I mean, he's number 4. What a reach that was, eh?
Yeah, it must have just been, you get a present, you get all excited about it. We were still like in that phase.
True.
And then the new version comes. The Dominic Kubalik becomes available, and that's obviously what you have to focus on. Speaking of that, later on this week, we're going to have the voice of the Kitchener Rangers, or one of the guys who covers the team. So we're getting a little new pipeline here. We have North Dakota, we have Cape Breton, but and we have Eels in Finland as well. But now it seems like Kitchener is also becoming that for the Ottawa Senators.
I know. As much as it pains me to say, Ross, as a Guelph Storm guy, the biggest rivals of the Guelph Storm are, of course, the Kitchener Rangers. But yes, there's a lot of connections to the Rangers with the Ottawa Senators. So hopefully we get a chance to talk to the host for Rogers TV, Sean Fafaro, a guy that I worked with back in my early broadcasting volunteer days. That's where it all started for my career. So it'll be fun to chat with him. And as far as our scheduling goes for the podcast, Ross, typically we'll probably be doing episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday so that we can space them out a bit. But that's not in stone. We might mix it around based on our schedule. But for the most part, you can expect to see episodes of the Locked On Senators podcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from now until mid-September?
Yeah, I would say right before training camp.
Yeah.
We're rookie camp guys too. We get fired up for when the rookies report. So I would say the start of rookie camp week is when season 5 of Locked On Senators we'll get going. We're vets now, Pilsy. No excuses for the podcast either this year. We're just like the organization. It's time to take a step.
Absolutely. And it's season 5 of this show. But Ross, the writers, they still haven't found an ending for this show. There's not going to be a quick. Yeah, true. The writers are on strike. So we're just doing this off the seat of our pants here. The scripts are out the window. All our writers, our directors, the plot twists are going to have to hold off for now.
So while we're talking about the scheduling, I also want to mention that if there's breaking news, you can always, I don't care what day of the week it is, could be my wedding day. I should probably say it a little quieter. But
no, we're doing a wedding day episode, Ross. The people want it.
If there's a signing or a trade, you know that Locked On Senators is your go-to spot on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast for immediate reaction to all that. Well, there's still 2 players I mentioned off the top, Egor Sokolov and Shane Pinto. No contracts, but Pilsy, we could be waiting on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Why?
Well, Ross, this is such a circle of life of the cap era in the NHL. Like, this is the perfect example of this. So the Ottawa Senators acquire Matt Murray in a trade with the Penguins, immediately give him a 4-year deal for too much money. I think anyone involved was like, that's too much money.
And we got to get the clip of Lou Lamoriello. I know it's not an exact Sens one, but it would use well on the soundboard. It's too long and for too much.
Yeah, that's essentially the Matt Murray deal. So Pierre Dorion says, look, that was an absolute disaster. Let's find the easiest chumps to dump this contract off. Who has a junior connection to Matt Murray? Oh, Kyle Dubis. Let's dump him off there. Send him off to Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs fans think they've won the deal. If you're looking for something fun to do, go back and find the tweet announcing that and the Leafs fans thinking that they're dunking on Sens fans for that deal. That always brings joy to my face, joy to my heart, joy to my soul.
It's a big win for vitamin takers like us here. AG1.
Yes, absolutely. And then now the Toronto Maple Leafs are without Kyle Dubas, so there's no attachment to him at all. He's got 1 year left on that deal. Even retained salary, Ross, it's not enough to probably keep Matt Murray around. So will the Toronto Maple Leafs buy out Matt Murray? That's the question.
Do you know what Matt Murray's salary is for next season? Forget about the cap hit at 6.25.
Oh, it was backloaded, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a classic Melnick era Sens deal.
It's like $8 million, isn't it?
Making $8 million in salary this upcoming year. So if they do buy him out, the Leafs will save $5.3 million in real money this year. Seems like a no-brainer. They'd have to pay 2.6 next year, but I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. But for the Senators, the cap hit would go down by 1.3 million. Like that's enough to, if you want to go more term with Shane Pinto, maybe you want that flexibility to make the offer of, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at $3 million a year. You probably wouldn't have that much flexibility unless you get that extra 1.3 off the books.
Well, and it's kind of a chain reaction too. Just to kind of touch on the Leaf situation a little bit more, it kind of hinges on Ilya Samsonov's arbitration as well to see kind of how much money they're playing with. Because after that, there's a buyout window that opens up. If you guys are looking for a more detailed explanation of this, go check out our friend of the show, Tyler Ray at Defense Minster. He does classic thread on the whole situation, so you can kind of get the lowdown there. But I think, Ross, it's kind of a 2-part thing for the Sens. Like, if they get that salary cap relief from the Leafs buying out Matt Murray, then now not only are you looking at different contract possibilities for Shane Pinto, but also different contract possibilities for free agents, Thomas Tatar, Tarasenko type. So I think, unfortunately, the Sens are going to have to be in a bit of a holding pattern here in regards to RFAs or UFAs to decide how much money and how they can kind of structure their cap based on if they get that salary cap relief, which should be around $1.3 million, which in a year where the cap only went up marginally, that's a big deal. Like, that's a game changer for teams pushing to make playoffs and that are going to be close to the cap here. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that affects the Sens roster.
I'm looking forward to seeing just what kind of contract Shane Pinto is going to get. Let us know in the comments what kind of contract you hope Shane Pinto gets. So for the timeline with Matt Murray, we should know by next week because Ilya Samsonov has his arbitration hearing on Friday. Then there's a 3-day window where then it opens and you get that second buyout window. So we'll see if the Leafs take advantage of that with Matt Murray. But coming up on today's show, we've got that Hoyt Stanley interview coming up live in person at Dev Camp. We also have Tyler Boucher ready to go. That'll be next week on Locked On Senators. Then we're going to wrap up today's show with a very peculiar story out of Arizona with a former #Sens abroad. That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, baseball is back from the All-Star break. The Toronto Blue Jays are absolutely on fire lately, and you can take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. So, math guy, you can do a $20 bet. You can land $200 in bonus bets. Here's the key: win or lose. So, that's money you can be spending on anything from money lines, over-unders, the spreads. I got very, very lucky. I got in on the Jays when they were down 2-0 in their last game. Live bet that, and boom, they came back and they won that game in grand fashion. So if you want to get some green numbers in your account as well, you can do it all on the FanDuel app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use. You guys know it's my favorite app of all the sports book apps. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Farm to Fork. Farm to Fork is a premium meat delivery service. They have seafood as well, and they'll bring it right to your door. It's no hormones, no additives. It's all fresh, and then it's flash frozen right at the butcher's table. So it keeps everything fresh, and it also makes it nice and convenient for you when you're digging in the freezer. No need to unstick frozen breasts that are together, anything like that. Each one is individually vacuum sealed, so you pull whatever you need for that individual day. Now go to farm2forkdelivery.ca. That's farm2 delivery.ca, and you taste the Farm to Fork difference. You will never, trust me, never go back to grocery store meats. Their website is super easy to use, and you can plug in your postal code to make sure they deliver to you, but they deliver to all of Ontario, most of Quebec. You are never too far away from getting your hands on another delicious order of Farm to Fork delivery. My parents called me last night. They said, "Oh, we just had the Farm to Fork steaks. It was unreal. We sous vide them. They're delicious. We absolutely love them, and you can too." So go check them out and use our promo code SENS10. We'll get you 10% off your first order. It's grilling season. Take advantage of it. Go to farm2forkdelivery.ca. Promo code SENS10 gets you 10% off your first purchase. Go check them out. You will never go back to grocery store meats. That's Farm to Fork. Farm to Fork. Taste the Farm to Fork difference. You will never go back to grocery store meats. All right, now let's get to our Dev Camp interview with Senators 2023 top draft pick. Here is Hoyt Stanley. All right, we're now very pleased to welcome the newest member of the Ottawa Senators from the 2023 draft in Nashville, Hoyt Stanley. Hoyt, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
So you came right here from Nashville, pretty whirlwind last week or what?
Yeah, it was a good week. I was just in Nashville with my family, and I went back actually to Vancouver, I think Friday night, and left Saturday morning to Ottawa.
Got the air miles going. Holy. Exactly, yeah. So when you're drafted by the Ottawa Senators, was that a team that you're kind of expecting to take you? Were you anticipating that, or what was your feelings when you get drafted?
Yeah, I just think like during the year and just right before the draft, just talking to some different teams and stuff, doing some like Zoom interviews, and I think had an interview with Ottawa and thought it went pretty well. So I was definitely excited to hear my name called.
Oh yeah.
And did I see you wearing a Sens jersey as a kid? Tell us the story. You posted on Instagram a photo with Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, I don't know how long ago that was, but definitely I think probably it was 10 or 11 maybe, and just kind of my dad had a friend somehow who knew Karlsson in some way, so he came to Vancouver and played against the Canucks, and he gave me like a signed jersey and everything. So it was really cool to meet him, and obviously one of the best defensemen probably ever, 3 Norrises and stuff. So was cool. Yeah.
Not bad. You're a right shot defenseman too. Who do you like to watch when you're trying to take things from other people's game and putting it into your own?
Yeah, I think I watched like a bunch of different D-men, like guys like who are exciting, like Cale McCark when Hughes and obviously Karlsson, but those guys are pretty hard to emulate, I think. Just they do some pretty insane stuff. But I also like watching guys like Pietrangelo, who's like a good two-way D-man, who's good size and stuff. So a bunch of different guys kind of watch.
Now, you were telling me earlier, this is your first time in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
Pretty cool. Yeah. Just being able to drive in sort of in the shuttle and kind of just look around for the first time. And I'm at a nice hotel right now too with some of the guys. So it's been cool.
Yeah. We were just talking to Egor Sokolov, who obviously when the guys get called up too, he says he might have more nights stayed at that hotel than anybody else right now at the Brook Street. But what was the perception of Ottawa for you before you came here? Obviously being in Vancouver, pretty far away, but capital, what did you think of the city before you got here?
Yeah. I just knew it was in Ontario, knew it was the capital city. So I didn't know too much about it, but yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So Cornell, that's where you're heading next year. Why was the education part so important to you?
Yeah, I think just growing up, like my family's always like valued academics as well as the athletic side, sort of, and just being able to go to a great school like that, and also a great hockey program with like good coaches, and yeah, I'm gonna be able to start there right away next year, and I think that will be the best place for you to develop.
You go to any other schools for visits before?
Yeah, I visited a few different schools just kind of in that area. Just do one big trip. I visited like Harvard and BU and the kind of schools like that. So, but ultimately decided to go to Cornell. Thought it was the best place for me.
Now, do you have any sort of hockey connections to Cornell, like the coach, some players, or anything like that?
I don't know. I know a guy named Sean Donaldson on that team who's from West Vancouver, where I'm from. So It's been good being able to text with him sort of and feel a bit more comfortable knowing him. And also my roommate next year got drafted this year as well to Arizona, like I think 70th overall, and I've been texting him a bunch and stuff. Cool. So I got to meet him in Nashville as well. So
perfect. Now we're only in day 2 of Dev Camp, but how's it going so far? Is this kind of what you expected?
A little bit, yeah. It's been fun. Definitely a little bit nervous the first day, sort of just meeting everyone new, sort of, and first time on the ice in a week or so being at Nashville, so I felt a little rusty, but it's been fun. Yeah, being able to like meet everyone, try to learn as much as I can, even having those like seminars today and stuff. It's been cool.
So you mentioned connections, and that's kind of a big hockey thing. We always joke the Senators too, that it seems like there's connections all over the place, but that's the hockey world. Did you know anyone in the organization, whether they're here at Dev Camp or otherwise, before being drafted by Ottawa?
Not before. I know that they took Owen Beckner in the 7th round this year, and I grew up playing with him, so I was definitely really excited to see that. I think I was at the draft sort of and doing some of the media stuff afterwards, and just saw on the TV that he got picked, and I just texted him right away, and I don't think he knew at first. Sort of, so.
You broke the news.
Yeah, I broke the news to him, so definitely cool to have him here with me.
That's awesome. Now, final question for me, Hoyt, and thanks for your time here. This has been awesome getting to introduce you to the rest of the Sens fans. What's kind of your main focus for this offseason? Like, what's the one thing you're really working towards this offseason?
Yeah, I think going to Cornell next year and just playing against guys that are like 24, 25 years old that are like kind of men, like just continuing to get like faster and stronger. And those are kind of the 2 most important areas for me.
Is that what the coaches here are kind of stressing for you as well?
I think so, yeah. Just like playing against guys that old, sort of, it's going to be a different kind of pace from what I played last year. So it'll be a challenge, but I think I'll be ready for it.
Final question from me, and appreciate you joining us, Hoyt. 88, not a really common number among defensemen. What's the reasoning why you chose that in the BCHL?
Yeah, I think I was always kind of a smaller player, like growing up. So like in Bantam or whatever, like during the WHL draft and stuff, I was like 5'6", 5'7", sort of. So my parents just wanted me to wear like a double number to look a bit bigger.
Big number.
Yeah. So I wore 77, like growing up, sort of, just to look a bit bigger. And then when I got to Victoria, it was taken. So I just went 11 more.
So 77, 88.
99.
We're gonna, right? Yeah, 99 at Cornell, Big Red. That's an all-time. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, Hoyt, really appreciate you joining us. Welcome to Ottawa. Everyone's really excited to have you in the organization, and we're going to be following your progress closely next year at Cornell. So all the best, and have a great summer.
Thank you. You too.
Hope you enjoyed our chat with Hoyt Stanley. Really looking forward to seeing him take strides at Cornell next year. Also interesting, Pilsy, to note that he wore 88 because he was a smaller guy, And now he's like 6'3", 6'4". So I don't think his mom has to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. That's for sure.
All right, we've also got our great friend of the show, at Lalime's Martian, with us. He was boots on the ground with us at Dev Camp. These interviews, all camera too, thanks to at Lalime's Martian. But we wanted to bring Martian on because Hoyt Stanley was our first interview of the day. And Cam, right before he walked in the room, we realized something pretty important.
Yeah, we had our little studio all set up in that little room that they put us in Gate 3. And we got all of our cameras ready, and we thought we were ready to rock and roll. And sure enough, we opened those cameras up, and there's a little symbol showing up on the little display. And what do you know? We were missing SD cards or memory cards for our cameras. So quick moment of panic. It was about 10:30, I think, by the time we realized. And then we did it was also a holiday Monday, right? So you got to keep in mind that we were a little bit worried that maybe the stores weren't going to be open. And we were supposed to be getting players around 11:15 or 11:20, if I'm not mistaken. And Best Buy in Canada didn't open until 11. So me and Ross leave Pilsy in our little studio, and we roll over to Best Buy, and we stand in front of the opening for Best Buy. We watch all the employees walk into the store, and we're just waiting there. We get in there on time. We grab our cards, and then we get a message from Pilsy, right?
Well, we didn't walk in. Like, think of those Top Chef shows where they have like 20 minutes in the grocery store, and like they just we sprinted into this store.
Yeah, we go through the initial door, and we go, oh, we're looking for SD cards. And then the guy who was at the door gets on the radio, and he's like, we got a couple guys coming for SD cards.
This is urgent.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So we roll over there, we get our SD cards, and then by the time we have the SD cards in our hands and we're standing in that, it was a short lineup at the beginning of the day at the Best Buy. It wasn't a super busy start for them. And Pilsy messages goes, Hoyt Stanley is here. So now we've got to rush back from Canada Centrum with these SD cards to go meet up with Hoyt Stanley. And Pilsy, I don't know if you want to take it over from there about, he was thinking about going to get some lunch, or he was thinking about going to eat. And then of course, him just being an 18-year-old kid and kind of probably not super comfortable, leaving and going, and I don't know how it was. So he basically ended up sticking around with you, Pilsy, for an additional probably 10 or 15 minutes waiting for us to come back with these cards.
Yeah, I'll hop in with my side of the story now. So yeah, I'm standing there. Hoyt comes in. He's like, okay, I'm ready to go. The PR guy is like, okay, you got 15 minutes with him. I'm like, slight problem. We don't have any memory cards for our cameras. So we can't do any of these interviews. And then he's like, okay, how long do you think it's going to be? And I'm like, the boys are rushing. They're trying to get back here as soon as possible. I'm chit-chatting with Hoyt, trying to keep him calm, cool, relaxed, not nervous. And so they had to decide, okay, are they going to get here in time? Do we go for lunch? And Hoyt, I got to give him full credit. He was so patient, so understanding. He's like, no, it's cool. I already ate. I'm easy. I'll just hang around. I'll just wait. And then another PR guy comes in. He's like, hey, you guys almost done with Hoyt Stanley? Nope, haven't even started yet. We don't have SD cards. This is our first time doing live stuff. We'll figure it out. The boys are on the way. They're on the way. And sure enough, you guys got back there quick. Martian had to cut a couple of people off.
Yeah,
do some interesting maneuvers.
Ross was trying to get me to jump in front of traffic when I should, just to get there an extra 20 seconds quicker.
It's on a red light. It was yellow.
A little bit of a backseat driver, but luckily I didn't let him get to me. We got there safe and sound and right on time. And then we had the great interview that everybody just heard, and it was a lot of fun getting to know young Hoyt Stanley.
But Martian, the story doesn't end there. We then were able to give him an assist, a little bit of payback, a little bit of karma, dare we say?
Yeah, this was pretty funny too. So, like I said, we were in this little studio right next to, well, it was it's essentially their media room. Yeah, and it's right next to Gate 3. If people are familiar with where that little area is, there's a little security zone, and then glass doors basically leading to the outside of the building. And we're in between interviews, and I'm looking out the window, and sure enough, I see a tall guy standing there in full hockey gear in his red Senators practice uniform. Full gear, and it's a really hot day. So I'm like, I'm just going to be a little goofball here. And I poke my head out the door, and I say, hey, Hoyt, it's a little hot to be standing out in all your gear like this, eh? And I was expecting him to, give a little laugh or whatever, but he turned around and he just had this look of panic on his face. And he goes, I think I just missed my shuttle to the practice facility. I think I missed my shuttle.
Not a good look for
first training camp.
It
was like some kid who's like in grade 9 or something. It's their first day of school and they're late for their first class. That's the kind of look he had going. He was real nervous. And I go, oh, don't worry about it. My car's right there. Like, I'll give you a ride. So he turns around and he goes, you don't mind? And I go, no, not at all. It'll be fun for me. So sure enough, I poke my head back in with you guys and I go, hey, I'm going to give Hoyt a ride to the seat or to the Sensplex. Yeah. And we're walking to my car, which was probably only 50 meters away from the door. So
it reeked of coffee.
Yeah, because earlier that morning I spilled the boys' coffees on the way to the rink too. That's a whole nother story.
Whoops.
Yeah, we were dashed 2 or 3 pretty early in the day here.
Yep.
But yeah, so we
had us in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, me and Hoyt were literally putting his hockey stick into my trunk as the shuttle comes by, and sure enough, they had room for one more guy. So he ended up getting a ride with the people he should have got a ride with, but I think it would have been pretty hilarious if I would have gave Hoyt Stanley a ride to the Sensplex in his first training camp.
Hey, I think you were right on just by being the good guy to offer right away and say, you know what, those interviews, they can wait. We just need to get our guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Martian, you definitely would have got a mention in Hoyt Stanley's Calder Trophy speech, acceptance speech there.
A few years from now, yeah.
Yeah, no, you mean he's going to invite me to the Stanley Cup parade after he wins the cup.
Also true.
As a member. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's awesome. All right, Marcia, we appreciate that. We're gonna get you on later this summer, chop it up, maybe do a mailbag, and then the postcast season 5. Well, season 5 of the show. What is it? Season 3 of the postcast?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Coming soon. You ready for Sens hockey or what?
Oh, so ready. Yeah, the summer's dragging on. We're in the real quiet time right now.
Yes.
It's actually kind of nice, but I'm definitely ready. I'm ready to see the boys hit the ice again here pretty soon.
Leave us with a prediction on the Shane Pinto contract. We were talking about that earlier in the episode.
Ooh, I don't really know, fellas. I'm hoping they go with a 4-year deal, something like that, and I think it'll probably come in just over 3. I'm guessing is my guess. Probably 3.2 times 4, something like that. That's my guess.
Right. Well, we'll credit the streets. Right, Martian. Appreciate you jumping on, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Anytime, boys. See you later.
Right. That is Lalime's Martian.
What a guy.
Friend of the show. Great guy. Great conversation with him. And to wrap up today's show, Pilsy, we got to talk about this situation in Arizona. I mean, I want to start by saying we hope Alex Galchenyuk gets the help he needs because clearly there's something going on there. He signed a contract with the Arizona Coyotes on July 1st, and on July 12th, he was terminated from that contract. It then comes out police details, and they're not good details, with basically a hit and run, property damage, and then kind of got aggressive with the officers and all that. So really tough situation in Arizona and with Alex Galchenyuk.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you see that come up on Twitter, the Coyotes have terminated the contract. You're like, wasn't that 10 days ago? No hockey has been played. What's going on? So clearly something off ice is happening there. And yeah, we won't get too much into the police report, but look it up for yourself. He says some outrageous things to these officers as he's kind of being questioned and stuff after all that happened there. So I think Alex Galchenyuk's time in the NHL, when you're at a point where you're signing a 1-year league minimum deal with the Arizona Coyotes and it's getting terminated in less than a week in the off season, your time in the NHL is probably over. So
yeah,
he did have that one sick goal as an Ottawa Senator, though. That was an absolute laser one-timer on the power play. Never forget. Number 17 for your Ottawa Senators. Do Leafs fans still claim they fixed Alex Galchenyuk? Are they still repping that quote?
Myrtle probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind there. But yeah, we do, in all seriousness, hope he does get the help he needs, because clearly that's not something I don't think he would do if he was in a good spot. And I mean, ironically, was it 2 years ago or last year? I saw him at a bar in Scottsdale when we were down there.
Oh, there you go.
So I guess he lives there in the off season or whatnot too. But yeah, really unfortunate situation with Alex Galchenyuk. But Wednesday on Locked On Senators, what is coming up, Pilsy?
We got Sens Central Citizen again, guys. You know we're in Sens Central Citizen season, and we're fired up to keep this going. We had Dan Tate last week, a good Okanagan guy, Sens fan, musician. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely go check it out. And if you are interested in becoming a Sens Central Citizen, yes, we do have a list of people. So don't expect that you make a message to Locked On Sens and you're going to get on right away. There is a bunch of people waiting. We're stoked that so many of you want to be a part of this show. We absolutely love it. But add yourself to the list and we'll get to you eventually. We want to, honestly, we want to talk to every Sens fan out there. We will not rest until every Sens fan has had a chance to speak their mind and have their hot takes on this show.
In the world.
In the world, yes. Ross, I would even say if you're a Sens fan listening to this from another planet, hit us up. We would love to chat with you about that.
We will not rest because rest is not a weapon.
Rest is a weapon. If I hear that one more time, I'll go crazy.
Yes.
All right. Great show today, Pilsy. Shout out Hoyt Stanley. Everyone go give some
good
dap
kid
to Hoyt Stanley. Really good kid. And I think Cornell is a perfect spot for him where he's going to be able to focus on his academics and play some great hockey and get an opportunity, I'm sure, to play in the top 4 right away there. So we're looking forward to seeing his development. And we mentioned Sens Central Citizen on Wednesday, Friday, another great interview. And then next week, Tyler Boucher to wrap up the development camp interview series. That's all later on Locked On Senators. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller and Lalime's Martian and Hoyt Stanley, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.